Well,
so cute?
don't ya? Got her pretty sweater.
Christmas,
on.
and these are not ugly Christmas sweaters.
No,
these are adorable.
These are pretty
What does
ones.
mine say?
It says peace, love, and joy.
And
And that's what we're hoping to bring you today. Oh, matching shoes, matching.
We're all Christmased out. I have to show you my nails too.
Oh,
Christmas.
and mine are done too.
And my earrings.
Oh, wow, wow. You're all glam. Well, as you can imagine, this is my glammy caboose. We call Colleen the caboose of our 6 kids.
Yes.
And what did you say Dad always said?
Oh yeah, apparently I was put on this earth to be Mikey's companion, since they had 4 kids, waited 10 years, and then had Mikey. And of course Mikey couldn't be all alone, so I was born so that I could be Mikey's pal.
And she turned out to be just
Number 6.
my pal for years and years.
Yes.
My little pal.
Mommy and Cozy.
Mommy and Cozy.
Pals forever.
Yes.
Laughing and laughing, having such good times.
Exactly. So let me now introduce this little vivacious caboose. Colleen is our youngest daughter of 6, and she went all through her schools. She was born in our family home, Red Barn Acre, here in California. And you
I
can
still
say,
have dreams about that house.
oh, I know, we all
To this
do.
day.
You know, I told my friends in a video the other day that after we sold that home, Red Barn Acre, which was it wasn't a big family, it wasn't a big, huge mansion. It was a rambling ranch on a piece of property that had a red barn and white 3-rail fences that went all around.
Open door policy.
Oh yeah, we had more kids all the time than our own, all the time. But it was, I always called it our little Courier and Ives property. And all the kids' friends would love to come there, right?
I spent my whole life there.
You
from
did.
birth until I went to college at 18. And I always tell our 3 kids, that's this home for them, because this is the only home they've ever known, and they're all, this will be their hidden canyon. You know, they're going to be adults dreaming about this house. And I just think having the stability of that one home, you know, all through your childhood.
And the other good part about it is that Moosey and I have lived here in the little cottage down the hill on this property since they moved in. And we've been here since all their children were born.
18 and a half years.
I know.
Can you
Wonderful.
believe that?
I know. But more about Colleen. So when Colleen went off to college, she was originally going to go to college in California. I think you were registered in San Diego. And Moosey decided that we were going to move to Las Vegas for a while, and he was starting a consulting business.
Of all places.
Of all places, right. This Courier and Ives family going off to Las Vegas.
Viva Las Vegas.
And I thought, oh, I'm leaving all my kids, my home, my everybody. And I begged, and I did beg, Colleen to go to the University of Las Vegas, or University of Nevada in Las Vegas, which she did. But fortunately for Colleen, as you always say,
everything happens for a reason.
and you met,
The love of my life.
right. She
So,
met, yeah.
thank God we went to Vegas.
Yeah, she
That's
never,
where I met my husband, was in college there. And I can't imagine, if I'd gone to San Diego, where we would all be.
I know. You know, you always think about how life happens, the funny things. And she was so good that year. Of course, it was my empty nest year because all the kids were gone off to college, or
Which I'm beginning to relate to.
yeah. Oh, I know. Colleen has had her tears with all 2 of her kids gone away to
It's
college.
interesting how as I get older, I can see how you felt from a whole different perspective now.
A lot of people don't understand the empty nest syndrome until it happens to you.
Yep.
Right, ladies? I know a lot of you have told me about your empty nest syndrome. But anyway, when she was there, we were in our little home, and I would call her every day. She was living in the dorms, and although she was so good about having lunch with me, or this or that. Or
Mom, she was very popular in the dorms because she would show up with plates full of home cooked fresh baked goods for all the football players and the baseball players, and
Of which Colleen was
friends
acquainted with every one of them.
so they all loved it when Mom came to the dorms because she was handing out cookies to everybody.
But I finally settled down a bit, and everything was okay. But at any rate, she did get her teaching degree. She married Micah right out of college, and he was 4 years older, and
He still is, by the way.
Yes, he is. But he went off to stardom right away. Micah is.
Yeah, he's a news anchor here in LA, and so he's been, we've been all over the country though. So we were in Billings, Montana, and then we lived for 2 years in Miami, which was great, and then we're able to come back here to LA. So it's been quite a ride. But again, thank God we went to Vegas,
I know.
and God had a plan. He knew what he was doing, and Mike and I always say God was showing off when he introduced us.
So we all are back together again and have been for almost 20 years. Thank God once again too. But anyway, she got her teaching degree and she taught in all these various places where she and Micah lived, Miami and California and Billings, Montana.
Little kids.
And then they started having their own children. Now they have 3 children. Colleen has gone on to get her master's and has been working for a local doctor here who has had her own practice for years and years. This woman adores Colleen.
40 years, and I adore her. She's amazing. I couldn't have asked for a better mentor. So I'm a therapist now. I'm still, accruing my hours towards licensure. In the state of California, you have to have 3,000 hours, which I think is the highest requirement of any other state in the country. Yes.
You're almost there.
Some states are only 1,500. I don't know. But I'm over 2,000, so I'm almost there, and humbly still learning. Very humble, because there's just so much to learn. I think I'll always be learning. You don't ever want to say that I know it all, because I never will. But.
Well, her background, having been with children during her professional life, Dr. Elaine just decided that Colleen could bring a new form of clients to the business, which were young adults, kids.
Kids and young adults.
And she did. She started this new section, and most of her clients in the beginning were what? Teenagers, young teenagers?
Teens. I think my youngest is 10 or 11. Going up into college age and young adults. I also have some older adult clients as well, but my specialty, I'm considered a child specialist at the practice. So that's really where I love to dig in, and I absolutely love what I do. I love my clients. I truly believe that what I'm doing is my calling.
Oh, I think it is.
It is. It just makes me feel so good to be able to, even in just a small way, help some of these kids and adults through some really hard times.
Speaking of hard times, a lot of you have expressed your opinions to me about how you feel during these times. And I'm the chirpy nanny. You always say, "Oh, nanny, you're always positive, you're chirpy." But as you have seen, I do have my moments when I get down. I love nostalgia. I can think back on our life with 6 children and 20 grandchildren and 12 great-grandchildren and love it. But there are times when Moosey and I do feel, because we're 85 now, sounds so old.
And because you're human.
And because I'm human.
Right.
We feel a bit down. And life sometimes, for me, I have a lot of responsibilities right now, including my Moosey, but we lead a very simple life, but sometimes I get so overwhelmed because I have to keep challenging myself and pushing through. That's my personality. Mm-hmm. But I'm strong, and when I have my downers, I recover. But I know a lot of you don't, and that's why Colleen is here to talk about the holiday. Is it a temporary depression or what, Colleen?
I think seasonal holiday depression is a real thing. It's not something we imagine or where we're feeling sorry for ourselves or anything like that. It is legitimate. So first of all, if you are feeling that way, you know, you need to validate your feelings. That's first of all, what you're feeling is real. It's not imagined. It's not self-pity. It's not anything like that. These are real feelings, obviously. And that's okay. We're human. We have emotions. We're not meant to be robots. And we're also not meant to say, I'm fine, I'm fine, I'm fine. You know, because that's not healthy either. You have to acknowledge your feelings, because that's, again, we're human. We feel things. We're allowed to be pissed off if we need to be, or sad, or mad, or jealous, or angry, or lonely, or all those things. All those things we're allowed to feel. And a lot of times we feel guilty for feeling.
Yeah.
And we shouldn't. We're not robots. And, you know, one of my favorite therapists, a friend of mine, she always says, it's okay not to be okay. Just don't unpack and stay there.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that.
You know, let the feeling come through you, feel it, you know, and then let it pass. And one of the things I like to say to my clients is sometimes we all have to sit ourselves down and have a little chat with ourselves. Sometimes we need to be a little harder on ourselves, and sometimes we need to be a little easier on ourselves, and really evaluate our emotions and say, okay, well, what's going on here? Why am I feeling this way? Or, you know, maybe I really need to make some better choices or better decisions, or, you know, just really have a chat with ourselves and allow ourselves to self-evaluate all the time. Okay, so Mom told me that some of you are feeling a little down, especially right now with the holidays. The holidays, Christmas, even Thanksgiving, New Year's, it comes with a lot of expectations. Expectations to be perfect and beautiful and Hallmark movie-esque, surrounded by loved ones and being holly jolly and decorating trees all the time. And life isn't always like that. Families are different. Maybe we're not as close to our families, maybe by distance or maybe just in our relationships. And so it can be hard. It can be very hard. But there are things that you can do. You know, I always talk about how depression is kind of like, if you think about if you're in an ocean and you're out there swimming in the water and you see a big wave coming towards you and it's coming towards you, what are you going to do? Are you going to just sit there and just wait and let it crash on you? Or are you going to do something? Are you going to dive under the wave? Are you going to swim away? Are you going to call for help? Depression is like a bully. It will beat down on you like that big wave if you sit there and let it. So as hard as it is, and some days when you just want to stay in bed or you are feeling really sad or lonely, and I understand there are days like that when you don't have the energy or the will to do much. But those are the days where you have to dig deep, and there are things that you can do. Call a friend or journal. Journal is my favorite thing.
Oh.
Just it's a place to put your feelings. If you really have a lot of overwhelming feelings going on and you don't have anyone special to talk to about them, journaling is probably the number one thing most therapists will recommend. It just gives those feelings inside a place to be. Or pull out a recipe from your recipe box that you haven't done in a while, or listen to a podcast. If you're able-bodied, go on a walk. You'll do something. You don't have to just sit there and let those feelings crash on top of you. We have one beautiful life to live, and it's up to us to make the choice to just do the best that we can, even on the hard days.
That's my mantra.
Yeah.
You know, we get this one wonderful life, and every day that goes by that you don't try your best.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm going to interject one little thing here.
I'll turn the camera.
And
there we go.
yeah. I discovered this doctor, Dr. Sinclair, David Sinclair, and he's a doctor, but he works at Harvard. He has grants, and his main thing is longevity. He deals with aging people, and he believes that there's certain things you can do, and especially if you start young, you can live a long, healthy life. And that involves your mentality and your physical being. And one of the things that he says that I realize I have done all my life, take risks. Remember when I started that business, romancing the home?
Getting outside your comfort zone.
Yeah. And that was one thing. And he says, accept challenges. Be constantly challenging yourself. I do that.
You do.
I do. And the other thing that I just love, it's work through adversity. Everybody has adversity in their life, right?
Absolutely.
And you got to just push on through
Nobody
it.
has the perfect life. Some people from the outside may look like they do. You see them on Instagram or Facebook and their life looks perfect. Nobody's life is perfect. And if they tell you it is, they're lying.
That's true.
That's true. Everybody has
And
adversity.
just because I'm perky all the time doesn't mean I have a perfect life either.
That's right. Another thing that is very fulfilling and is volunteering. And especially at Christmas,
I've always said that.
food banks, toy
I'm gonna
drives.
get you in more and more. Whoa, whoa. There goes Nanny doing the boo-boo again with the camera. I'm trying to get Colleen on there more. Okay, go for it, Colleen.
Volunteering. Shannon and I worked for NCL, worked with NCL, a national charity league, and did so much. That is so fulfilling, especially at the holidays. There are so many families and children in need, and it makes your heart feel so full and like you're making a difference. Again, if you're able-bodied, I can guarantee you there are places in your community where you can find some place to help.
What about COVID? Good. You know, that's kind of put a wrench in the deal here. A lot of you say you can't get out or you're afraid to get out. COVID has really put us down for a while. What do you think about that?
I mean, it has paralyzed a lot of people. There's a deep fear in a lot of people, and rightfully so, especially people who aren't well or have, underlying conditions, right?
And a lot of our friends do have chronic pain with one thing, as we get older, the old what happens. And they're well,
you know what? What do you what?
I don't like to say those words, but everyone has something within their body that they're dealing with besides worrying about getting out in the world and being happy.
Yep.
Or joyful.
The wonderful woman that I work with, she says, nobody in this world gets off scot-free. We've all got a little of something. Or a lot of something, depending on the person, whether that's a little bit of anxiety, a little bit of sadness, a little bit of, phobias. We all have something. Nobody has that perfect mental health. And by the way, mental health is mind, body, spirit. Our bodies are connected. It's not just separate. We're all one. And if you're sick, you go to the doctor, you rest, you drink fluids, you take whatever medication he or she gives to you. And we don't give that same respect to our mental health when it should be just as important. I remember growing up when we were in school, and if we were just having an off day, maybe we were feeling physically okay, but maybe we're just having a kind of an off day. Mom, your word was, do you remember the word? We would stay home, which she would give us, and what I call it with my kids.
Ennui?
Yes!
Yes!
What I call it with my kids is sometimes you just need a mental health day. And you used to say, are you feeling a little ennui?
What does it mean?
I don't know, but I think now as an adult reflecting back, I think it was sometimes you just are a little off. Maybe you're feeling a little sad or not like yourself and you need a little time to give some TLC to yourself.
And oh boy.
And we did.
Did we have TLC days. One of the things that I like to do, sometimes Moosey joined, but most of the time he was working, we called those TLC days. And I would keep one child home a day with 6
One-on-one.
kids. You have a lot of community dealing with, a group of your family at one time. But you all need everybody needs that special one-on-one time.
One-on-one time.
And they never knew it until the morning I would go in and say, it's your
Surprise.
day. you're staying home, and oh boy, the other kids would be so jealous. And then
That with
they
our
could
kids,
choose to do whatever they wanted to. Mikey used to love to go to
Museums.
science.
And where did I want to go?
To the park. Oh no, shopping.
To the mall.
To the mall.
Of course.
And we had, by the time Colleen was a senior in high school, we had quite a few. By that time, Moosey had started his business in Vegas. We were living at home, and he would come home on the weekends. He was in an apartment.
The lady in the attendance office in my high
just
school,
gonna say that.
Mom knew her on a first name basis. She didn't like you.
I
Was
know.
it Jenny?
Well, I forget.
Miss Jones.
Mrs. Jones, right. When you're absent in school, they always call home to find out, because they knew a lot of kids maybe were playing
Did
hooky.
she? Yeah.
And she would call me in the morning. Colleen and I'd be sitting in bed having coffee, deciding where we were going to go that day. And she would call. She said, "Hi, Mrs. M. Is Colleen sick today?" And she knew darn well Colleen wasn't sick. I said, "Oh, yes, Mrs. Jones, I'm so sorry. Hopefully she'll be in tomorrow." And then we would hang up and we would do one of these,
Let's go shopping.
Off we'd go. But you know what? As a teacher, I know you think I'm a bad lady, but Colleen was bright enough. She kept up with her school, and if she hadn't missed anything, we'd make sure she'd do it. But it was important to have that one-on-one relationship, just because life was so hectic otherwise.
Yeah.
And I think it worked.
Yeah, and those days are important. I think, again, our mental health is just as important as our physical health. And I think nowadays, though, it's beginning to be a little bit more recognized than it used to be maybe in other generations. There was always a stigma attached if you saw a therapist. Oh gosh, you must be crazy or something. But I know at least as the generations come on, that stigma is starting to drop off, thank God, because we do need to address our mental health. It's just as important as our physical health. It's just as important. And not to mention, when our mental health isn't being addressed, it affects our physical health. For example, anxiety. Anxiety can affect our upset stomachs. It can make our hands shaky. It can make our heart race. It all is one. Our bodies are all connected. So it is important. And I do just want to say, I understand that some of you are down, and I have to make this statement responsibly, that if you are feeling something more than depression, dark thoughts or anything like that, it's important to go and talk to somebody. There are some amazing therapists out there who are so ready to help, and it is so, they just want to be there for you. So if you are feeling, if you're not feeling right, and if you really need to talk to someone, don't hesitate to reach out, seek help. There's so much help out there, and it can do you so much good.
I have a question. Does Medicare pay for mental health visits with therapists?
100%.
Really?
100%. We have people calling into our office all the time, Medi-Cal, or sometimes there's Medicare with another subsidiary, but mental health is covered through Medicare.
That is good to know, ladies.
Yeah. A lot of people don't know that they have that available.
Yeah.
All insurances now.
And not only that, now with COVID, especially since COVID, so many therapists. Colleen, do you do most of yours by Zoom?
I do. I only have a handful of clients that actually come in, but most of them are on Zoom. And it's great because you don't have to leave your home if you don't want to, or if you aren't able to.
Right.
Also, not only that, but it opens up a much bigger pool of therapists that you can see, because you don't have to worry about them being within driving distance. I have clients in San Diego and one in San Francisco. So, Zoom is really wonderful.
That's so good.
You can also do phone conversations. Those aren't as preferable because it's nice to have more of an intimate conversation. And believe it or not, probably the number one question I get is it as intimate on Zoom as it would be in person? I
wondered that.
I don't know. My opinion might not be the popular opinion, but I feel when I am talking to my clients and we're like this one-on-one, I honestly believe I am engaging in and we're intimate, and there's tears and there's laughter, and we're having just as meaningful conversations as we would be in person. So
That's good.
a lot of people just prefer to be in person, and I understand that. Maybe they have privacy issues at home where they can't have the privacy to speak freely. So I've done therapy with people in their cars because they don't have privacy in their homes. So there's always a way. There's always a way, and there's somebody out there to help if you really need it. I can recommend one resource if you are looking for a therapist. It's called Psychology Today. It's a website.
Let me zero in on that.
Psychology Today is a website. You can go on there. It's an excellent resource. You really will type in your zip code, and it will give you a list of all the therapists in your area, which insurances they take, their specialties, whether they're on Zoom, their pricing, all of that. And it's an excellent place to look.
Well, I am so proud of my Calzy. You did such a wonderful job.
Mom, I love you.
I love you too, my little Calzy. I wish I could bring all our kids on like this. I know.
I'm emotional.
We're very emotional.
We are. I'm a Cancer. I'm emotional. It's my best quality.
Well, I don't know. I'm the Scorpio. You know me. I'm supposed to be the secret one, but I'm as emotional
As
too.
if.
I went through this empty nest syndrome with Colleen when Brendan went off. Ryan is already off, living in an apartment now. She's in her second year of college.
Oh, I remember that year.
And Brendan is due home tonight. You must be so excited.
I'm so excited.
Let's get this more on you.
Us.
Yeah, get us right in the middle.
There we are.
And now I forget what I was going to say.
Brendan's coming home tonight.
Oh, yeah, Brendan's coming home. So Colleen, she didn't know what empty nest syndrome was until he went away. And the first couple of days, every time Colleen would come down, we'd talk about the mail or a package, and I'd say, well, how you doing, Brendan? Oh, good. And she would cry. She couldn't talk about Brendan.
Well, it's just, because Ryan had already been gone, but I don't know, something about him being a plane ride away kind of hit me. And then just having two out of the house. Thank goodness Shannon's still here she's only a junior, so she's here for another year and a half.
Yeah. But you can have empty nest syndrome even with grandchildren. I have that with these kids. I have it with other children. Mm-hmm. Moosey, I think Moosey suffers a lot of this more than I do. And he's also, if you remember, the type, and I thought of that when Colleen was saying it's okay to be not okay. Mm-hmm. And Moosey that was not his mantra in the beginning. No, I'm fine. No. And he didn't want me to talk about any of his problems or anything. And I used to say to him,
that's not good.
Don't be like that. You can't do that, because you're making all those people that are not feeling great about themselves feel like they're the only ones. So he finally got it.
And the more you suppress your emotions, they're not going anywhere.
But
they're there.
What? He'll still say to me, but I feel 35 inside. Well, you know what? We all do at times. Mm-hmm. But you have to admit that there are times, and Moosey does have his times, where he feels more, I don't want to, I'll use the words left out because we had such activities with the family. We were always included. We were always the parents that planned everything and had everybody over to our house.
I think there comes a time though in life, and I'm learning this with this new stage in my life, that you have to adjust your expectations a little bit. Things aren't always going to stay the same thing as they were.
Right.
And, even with the kids coming home from high school or from college, I have all these things I want to do, gingerbread houses and Christmas shopping and Christmas. And I have to remind myself, all those things might not happen. They might want to go see their friends that they haven't seen. Yeah. Or they might want to, just sleep more.
And Moosey will say when he hears that somebody's having their grandkids over, our kids are all almost senior citizens, not Colleen or Mikey yet, but
not quite.
But he said, well, why didn't they invite us? I understand that, and we're not the driving force anymore. As you get older, your kids plan everything. We go to their houses. Everything used to be at Red Barn Acre. It was our house,
Well, you may not be the driving force, but you'll always be the queen of our clan.
Oh, love that. Where's my crown? But a lot of the ladies are feeling that. And that's the feeling that they feel. They're, I'm going to say the word right, irrelevant, right? Or is it irrelevant? Irrelevant, right?
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm.
And that's what we feel sometimes. And what about that?
Irrelevance, yeah, that's a big thing. Again, your life changes, and if you're in a different stage in life, you have to adjust your expectations, don't you think?
Absolutely.
Because
absolutely.
if you're just going to set yourself up for disappointment and heartache and grief, if you're expecting to be, you have unrealistic expectations if you want them to be exactly how they used to be. But in different stages in life, priorities change, life changes, relationships change. We have to evolve and change with those changes.
Yep. And that's what my mother used to say, and my father. They were so wonderful. They gave such great advice, especially with the circle of life. You know, that circle that you're born, you want to live do everything the right way, or as much as you can. Just do your best. And as you get older and closer to eternity, you know that's life is not, what's the word? Life does have an ending to it. And we have to look forward to that next part. Mm-hmm. It's part of God's plan.
Yeah.
I think Frank Sinatra once said that the only things that are certain are taxes
and death. Was that Frank Sinatra? I thought that was like a president or something.
I heard it was Frank Sinatra, but I could be wrong.
Don't quote us.
Don't quote me on that one. Well, it's time to
Okay.
say goodbye.
Goodbye.
So
And
I hope you all have enjoyed my Colleen. I hope she has brought you some peace.
And you people are lucky ducks to get to have this woman in your lives.
Oh, you're a sweetheart. Well, goodbye. We love you all.
And God bless us all. I was so excited to say that.
The old Matt Christmas dance.
Yeah.
He's already.
Sleigh bells ring, are you listening? In the lane, snow is glistening. A beautiful sight, we're happy tonight. Walking in a winter wonderland. Gone away is the bluebird, here to stay is the new bird. He sings a love song as we go along, walking in a winter wonderland. In the meadow we can build a snowman.
Should we get the dogs?
Yeah.
Yes.
Up here. Huh? Get him up. You're singing, Carl. Okay.